Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope you're all doing well today. Today I've got an exciting lineup of Dogman encounters to share with you. Before we get into these encounters, though, a couple links I'd like to share. The first link I'd like to share with you is Tromix Lead Delivery System, home of the original 458 and owned by Tony Remora, a true American. He designed an AR upper to be attached to your existing AR lower and blast 458 instead of 223 or 556. He designed this for our troops in the Middle East to stop truck bombs. Now, straight across the board, guys. If a 458 is going to stop a truck, it's at least going to slow down the Dogman. Tromix link is in the description below, and please check out some of Tony's other amazing products. On to my links. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. Those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fanfiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that really don't fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything that you're into, follow that link, give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. I also started a GoFundMe page to help raise some money for urbex, cryptid hunting, and ghost hunting equipment. So far, I have an EVP recorder, an SLS cam, and some trail cams. If that's anything that you're willing to help with, that link is also in the description below. Now, I've taken enough of your time. Let's get on with these Dogman encounters. Shall we? Today's first Dogman encounter brings us to Missouri. The quiet hidden cemetery in Charlton County, Missouri, sits at the end of a gravel road snaking into the hills. A dark roof of trees turns the long stretch of rocks and dirt into a leafy tunnel. Ryan Straub, founder of the Missouri-based ghost hunting group Tir Fernath, has often visited the cemetery and experienced strange things. However, nothing has disturbed him as much as what he and fellow Tir Fernath member Mike saw standing on that gravel road that day. Mike and I were leaving one day, Straub states. As we were leaving, we were in the middle of the hill and we saw a very large dog in the road. It stood on its hind legs and walked off the road. Straub and Mike froze as the beast walked on two legs into the thick forest. That bothered me, Straub says. The only thing I could think was the mythical beast, werewolf. Today's second Dogman encounter brings us to Arizona. In the glow of the city lights bathed the Arizona night in a gray as four teenagers walked into the Shalimar Golf Course in Tempe. Carl, now an adult, was in high school when he and his friends, bored with their weekly Bible study meeting, walked outside. The girls' house we used to have the Bible study was right on a golf course. The Shalimar Golf Course sits in a highly populated residential area of the city, so the group tried to be as quiet as they could and kept to the edge of the golf course, walking along the palm trees that lined the wall. We were all talking and goofing around. My girlfriend says something like, "Hey, something just jumped out of that palm tree up there." The trees were approximately 35 to 40 feet tall, so the other teens laughed and resumed their conversations. A few seconds later, she lets out a blood-curdling scream. Pure terror. As Davis turns towards his girlfriend, he saw something he would never believe. I looked in the direction, and there's this creature lumbering along the wall towards us. It was as tall as me, and I'm 6 foot, hunched over. Huge snout, like a dog. This creature was as dark as the night surrounding it. It lunges at us, and we start to run. It was chasing after me, and it was running along the wall towards me. I just turned and ran, and I didn't think to look back. The teens never saw the animal again, although something about the encounter still confuses Davis. It was in the middle of town, he states. That's what always gets me about the thing. Not out in the middle of the woods or a secluded cabin, but in Tempe, Arizona. Our third Dogman encounter brings us to Illinois. Corey and her cousin Richard and two friends were driving near Midlothian, Illinois, on a late-night trip when a large, man-like beast ran into the road. A 6 to 7 foot man-beast thing ran from the Rubio woods to the woods behind the electric fence of some kind. Richard swerved to miss the creature. The beast was covered in a bluish-gray fur. Its snout was like a coyote or a wolf, but longer. Its eyes were like holes, and the smell of wet dog wafted throughout the car. Although the four didn't see the creature for long, the thing that stuck with Corey was the beast's hands. I call it man-like because of the size of its hands, Corey states. They look like a human except for the fingers were really long, clawed and covered with fur. Richard thought it was a werewolf or something else. Today's fourth Dogman encounter brings us to Daughtry, Oklahoma. A couple years ago, while visiting my brother in Daughtry, next to Davis, I had a junior version of one of these Dogman creatures run into the side of my truck just after the sun went down. My brother looked at me and asked me what I saw. I told him it looked like a 5-foot-tall German shepherd, all black, bent over, and in a big hurry to cross the road. Yep, that was a man-beast, he said. Dogman. Today's fifth Dogman encounter will stay in Daughtry, Oklahoma. Okay, on a Saturday around 2:30 in the morning, I was sky watching with my night vision scope from a hill just outside of Daughtry and decided to call it a night. Before getting back into my truck, I scanned the tree line. Next to me, I noticed some green eye shine close to the ground. I walk towards the eye shine until I see a creature lying in the tall grass. It looked huge, perhaps as large as a tiger, but this was no cat. It had a rounded snout, that like of a gorilla. Its eyes were squinted while my night vision laser beam shined on them. They opened a little when I dropped the beam lower. I noticed leopard spots on one of the front arms. From the elbow down, I could only see one arm. And on top of its head, where the ears were sticking up, like a German shepherd's. As soon as I noticed the eyes open a little, I continued to look through the night vision as I walked backwards towards my truck. I started my truck up and turned it around so the headlights would shine on the spot where the Dogman had been, but of course it was gone. I've known for years about Bigfoot sightings in the Arbuckle Mountains of this area, and now I know Dogman exists here as well. I wish I could have seen it standing up in the headlight beams of my truck, but not before I was back in my truck. Today's sixth and final encounter will step across the pond. I was walking home down the main road. There was only 3 other people close by, and they all saw the same thing, a very large gray dog run from one neighboring street to the other. It ran in the middle of the road and stopped and looked at us. I was close to it and scared by what I was looking at. The creature stood on its back legs and howled. It wasn't like a dog howl I'd ever heard. It was frightening and high-pitched, almost like a child screaming, but not like a scream. I wanted to run, but I was fascinated with what I was looking at. It was at least 6 feet tall when it was standing, and its fangs were possibly 3 inches long. It looked around at the other 3 people and then back at me. It growled and took off on all 4s, back down the street it had come from. I ran over to the other people who, like me, were fascinated by what they had just seen. None of us knew what the animal was. We all had an idea, although no one said anything. The creature we had seen was a Dogman. It couldn't have been anything else. It didn't act like a dog, and it didn't even run like a dog. It sort of loped in a weird way. 6 terrifying Dogman encounters. Wow, guys. I loved those encounters. There's nothing like a good Dogman encounter. You know, I get creeped out when I hear a skinwalker encounter, or the creature that resembles the Wendigo, or the creatures that resemble skinwalkers throughout the country. But nothing more fascinates me than a good Dogman encounter, and these were some good ones. I'd like to know what your guys' favorites are. Right now I'm working on a couple of great encounters. I've got a subscriber who just reached out to me with some pictures. I'm going to be doing his encounter very shortly here. I also just got in touch with a cryptozoologist, a rather well-known cryptozoologist at that, and spoke with him, and he allowed me to share his encounter, which I will be doing very shortly. But it's an amazing encounter. I hope that I get to speak with this gentleman. It looks like he's on an adventure right now, but we plan on speaking extensively about my encounter and his encounters as well. He also is a big Sasquatcher. Loves hunting Sasquatch, but you know, when you're in the woods, you run up to a Dogman now and then, I guess. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed these encounters, and I want to thank everybody for your support and well wishes for my daughter and myself. Thank you guys. And with that, I bid you farewell.